So we have fascinating class. The class title is Work Ethic versus Attitude Ethic. So work ethic, it is something that we always hear about, right? And you hear everybody who's just old, right, giving you lectures of work ethic and how that's so important. And yes, it is important, but I would say work ethic belongs in the 20th century, industrial age. In the 21st century, work ethic matters, but attitude ethic, far more important. What attitude you are starting the day with, what attitude you're approaching the work with. And if you are not mindful, as in aware of what attitude you are feeding, it will grow, and whatever work you touch, that attitude is going to wreck it. We are no longer in the physical manual labor, data enter, lay bricks. So the correlation between your effort and how much work is done, which is usually productivity, was very high on literally work ethic. Work ethic made you more productive. As a result of it, you got promoted. Work ethic becomes like the old person's like, let me tell you a story of my work ethic, I barely all that stuff belongs in the past. You have to get attitude ethic. And that matters a lot. And a lot of people, a lot of CEOs you'll hear talk about how attitude is so important. But it's kind of like you either have it or you don't. You bring it or you don't. And absolutely not. Anybody who has a great work ethic, you'll see it's not like they have it or not. They go through and they literally will rep and almost engineer like these routines to generate the right work ethic. It's not like, you'll see the nuances they will, and the same thing occurs, by the way, for work ethic. Sorry, attitude ethic. So we're going to go into that. I'm going to show you a couple of videos and all that stuff, but I also have a very hard stop at 12. I need to go to a meeting. So I am going to have to go fast. Unfortunately, I also did one of those, same as last time, like a slide that I've not turned into slides. So if you don't mind, you can bear with me. I might make you a little dizzy, but hopefully more value than pain. So hopefully this class will be beneficial to you.
Funny, as you were saying this, truly the work ethic, I was thinking, this is part of my, it's hard to drop it. The older you are, work ethic was the hours you worked mattered, especially with the way I grew up, right? So it is hard, as you get older, it's harder to drop that that's what it's about, not attitude. It is unlearn it. Because it's a stacked, right? You have to put effort in, but if you don't have the right attitude, no amount of effort is going to make the work turn out.
It's no different than Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It starts with food and shelter. Yes, there are people that matters for, and there are people that's their top concern. I don't believe anybody in this class has that as the most critical issue on a daily basis. So once you're past food and shelter, then comes a whole bunch of other things. And I think generally the internet and old people or anybody can shame you into thinking, well, think about the people who don't have food and shelter. I'm like, okay, that belongs in some category, but you don't have that issue. You have another issue. You have the issue with kind of what your mind's doing, how it's racing, how it's imagining wrong things happening today, another bad day, and whatever spinning is going to prevent you from having a productive day. And so that to me, I refer to as attitude ethic. And it takes as much routine, as much reps, as much engineering as a great work ethic. So I just looked up in ChatGPT, defined the ethic in work ethic. And it defined it as a set of moral principles or values, right? The ethic in work ethic is a belief system about what constitutes right or admirable behavior in a work setting. I translate that as almost visualizing what you want. We talked about Eden. We talked about visualizing what does success look like. There's an element that the word ethic in work ethic is that. You're able to visualize and say, what constitutes right or admirable behavior, such as diligence, responsibility, reliability, discipline, and integrity. This notion that when someone talks about work ethic, they believe that is good. When someone doesn't think it's good, they look at it as what old people say, right? It's kind of like what people sort of did, managers, supervisors, to make sure you come to work on time before they do, and then leave after they do. And they define those very blunt things as work ethic. And so there will be a similarity, I believe, in attitude ethic. You'll have a similar type of blunt, maybe immune response and whatnot, which I hope you don't, but we'll kind of go into it. All right. So this is from my notes before we built the class. So I was listening to this podcast. I think the Stephen Bartlett, or he's pretty well known now, but he was talking about this main part I love, which is how do you help people realize the power they hold, the power of thinking your way into success of anything. You can literally use your brain, right? And this is a power every individual holds, to be able to go and literally think your way, strategize your way, plan your way, and then go succeed in anything. And that is more true today than it ever was. The levers, the powers, what all the things we have at our fingertips are doing. So they talked about like kind of this word manifesting, right? Vision boards should be action boards and whatnot. And I kind of put all the jargon aside because I think there's a ton of sort of like BS stuff in this world of this topic. But I like this little part that they talked about, that manifesting isn't creating a fantasy. It's not creating a fantasy, and it's definitely not a fantasy with no action from your end. And then most people think if I manifest, I just wait and it comes true. And so the emphasis was, this is a neuroscientist talking, like that's bullshit, that doesn't work, right? So stop believing that. The other part is that if you fail at manifesting, it's usually because it's too unrealistic. So the example they use is, I want a house in the Hamptons. Like, I want a house in the Hamptons. And the more unrealistic it is, the more you will fail, which then convinces you it doesn't work.
Defeats
right?
you, yeah.
And so this notion of, like almost anything with your brain, it takes reps, it takes work. And that means you will first do it wrong. Anybody who literally thinks I can go on the golf course, first time I go, I'm going to hit pars in every hole, like you're a amateur, inexperienced. At some point, if you keep drilling that way, I'd say you're an idiot, right? So please don't be an idiot, right? Like manifesting, it takes work and you will do it wrong. And so in the example, they say, instead of saying, I need to manifest, want a house in the Hamptons, I want to start the process of like owning real estate. Like, as in like I want to move from being a renter to an owner, and let me start the process of a journey. But there's a separate thought I had as I was hearing us talking to Megan this morning at breakfast, saying, I always think about creating the environment around yourself that increases the right type of manifestation, right? Now, I said the right type because this is where the class is going to go into an ethic. It divides two ways. In a very simple binary way, you can have a positive attitude, you can have a negative attitude. And both are kind of very similar. The same way this neuroscientist with this podcast was talking about how people think of manifestation, and it's always default assumed as positive, right? But we negatively manifest all the time. And guess what? It happens. Because of the energy and the work you put into your negative manifestation, it comes true. And you're like, what do you mean? Like, I'm allowed to have my own thoughts, right? Don't do that, like don't gaslight me, right? That I can't have my own thoughts, it's my mind, right? And we don't believe in positive manifestation, but we seem to, almost like practitioners of voodoo, believe in negative manifestation. And if someone calls it out, you'll say, I don't do that, but you are doing it all the time. And this notion of recognizing that is inherent in today's persistent, uncertain world. Negative manifestation is what we do starting first thing in the morning. And the interesting nuance, by the way, and I'll touch on this, I have a pro tip section at the end. And so like we're been coaching and helping people trying to get to the right side of how do you brainstorm? How do you strategize? How do you use the power of your brain? But it has to be used when you're on the right side or when you have oxytocin. Not when you actually have stress, fear, shame, anger, frustration. When you use it in that state, it's like a hijacker took over and you are no longer driving the plane. The hijacker is driving you and the plane. And so this notion of recognizing in that same way of the right side, left side I talked about, negative manifestation is very powerful. And if you don't realize what you're doing, you are going to hit trees. Now, I'll explain to you why it's hitting trees. Just moving on really quick. This was I think our London office last week had a breakfast for all these HR leaders. A lot of people wrote like LinkedIn posts, and I like this little piece of it. this individual is saying, what if your next big breakthrough isn't in your sales deck? And you could even put, isn't in your like technology or product, but in your people strategy. So what if the next big breakthrough for your organization, right, for your team, is not the sales deck, it's not the product deck, it's not the engineering, it's not like we're buying the newest version of, some AI tool, but it's in your people strategy. Now, like, ooh, HR people love that, but I'm like, do you have any idea what you're talking about? And I would say they actually do not. And besides saying, well, make everyone happy and make them think good things, it's way harder than that. The average individual wakes up every single morning manifesting negative thoughts, and that just plays out. And then you wonder why everything is going so wrong. You're looking for trees and you're hitting them square on. So I'll come back to that now.
Before you can you,
Yeah.
because you just were saying, because, energy into your negative manifestation, it starts first in the morning. It's like we make it come true. It's like we're sort of self-sabotaging in some ways. And then you mentioned the environment that we were talking about this morning, the environment for positive manifestation.
There's also
How
an
to set that
environment for
up.
negative manifestation.
Okay,
right?
what do you mean? Like, what do you
Ariana Huffington, remember
Yeah.
she always talks about the phone, right? Put your phone in the other room, don't bring it to bed.
Yeah.
And then don't look at the first thing in the morning. I mean, we do
Right,
scan
we
for
do.
what's happened in the world,
True,
no?
okay.
I mean, New York City this Monday had a shooting of 4 people. I mean, Tom's wife was in the building, barricaded a conference room. It's insane. And like, it's like,
Yeah.
that's real, that's
Yeah.
happening. So you need to know they're more dangerous,
Right.
right? We are wired to go check instantly for
You're saying
what-
we're looking for it, so that's part
well,
of
no,
our
well,
setup.
so, no, but I'm saying the news also knows, you're looking for it, right? The piece I said here, so this is the way that this, neuroscientist defined the brain, that we are 2.5 times more strongly wired to avoid risk than take risk and get a reward. Meaning our negative manifestation muscle, which is the same way of saying I'm making negative predictions because I'm looking for what might go wrong because it prepares me for it, right? Is 2.5 times stronger. And the muscle that says, I wonder what risk I could take today. What could I create today? What could I do that would maybe like just build something of value, right? To myself or somebody else. When those two things are weighing out in the morning, the 2.5 times stronger muscle is just dominating. And the more you rep that muscle, it goes from 2.5 to probably 25 and maybe 250. And before you know it, the other muscle doesn't even seem to exist. Because in human beings, when we're organic, you lose what you don't use, right? And the more you rep something, it does grow. Now, what's powerful is that you can almost reignite most things, even in an old age. It's amazing we work with people who literally the brain can be rewired. It's plastic, neuroplasticity. Plastic is really bad now, but it is plastic. They need another name for it now. It's probably like,
I don't know what they're gonna call it now.
aluminum or something, so it melts, but like neuro aluminum, whatever it is, but like the neuroplasticity, the point is.
You can reshape it.
You can
build
reshape it
yeah.
positive, but you
Yeah.
can also shape it negative.
Negative, right.
And that's the danger, and the negative is far stronger. So, this is the slide from the earlier lip, right? And so just kind of, I'm just recapping it. The work is on the essay prediction, so we'll talk about it a little bit more, but the left side, mental readiness or mental preparedness. If not, your brain is hijacked, and the average individual operates on a hijacked brain. And when I think about operating in a high, like situation, you need high alert because so much information is coming at you, right? Everywhere information is coming at you, which by the way, sorry to say, but it is the 21st century. It is post-COVID, it's 2025. Information is coming at you harder and faster at an increasing rate than ever before, which means you have to be alert. When your brain is hijacked, you're not alert. You're not alert, you're not careful, and you're walking around almost with like caveman-like mental models and then fighting back like with caveman-like blunt weapons. And it's just a bad spiral. So just kind of what I just put before, just helping people realize the power of your brain and what you hold and negative manifestation, it works. And so I'm gonna turn it over to a quick video. Guy that we spent a lot of time with over the years, Simon Sinek. There's a little video he has. He talks about how when you think about the negative thing, you can't stop thinking about it. So I'm gonna turn it over to our trustee Laura and see if she can actually pass this test.
The human brain cannot comprehend the negative. It is incapable. Yes, it's true. I'll give you an example. You ready? Don't think of an elephant. Yeah, I know. You can't tell the human brain not to do something, right? And so what happens is we very often reinforce things when we put things in the negative. It's such a huge thing to convert things into the affirmative. You're supposed to do it with children as well. We're supposed to say, instead of saying to children, don't eat on the couch, we're supposed to say, eat at the table, right? We tell people what we want them to do, not what we don't want to do. Pilots know this, right? It is well known in the pilot community that when you tell a pilot, don't hit the obstacle, they'll hit the obstacle. Because what they're doing is focusing on the obstacle. Skiers know this. If you say don't hit a tree, you'll hit a tree. You won't be able to find a path because all you see is millions of trees. If you say only follow the path, you actually don't see any trees. There's actually very sparse trees. There's plenty of path, there's plenty of snow. It's the same thing for you. If you focus on the obstacles, all you will see is obstacles. If you focus on the path through the trees, all you will see is path through the trees. It's your choice how you choose to perceive your own career. It's literally perspective.
Can I talk about that? Yeah, can you guys hear me? So don't hit the trees, right? And I'll give you a little more detail. I'm a big skier. I like skiing, but they call it tree skiing. It's scary as hell because you're literally, it's not like there's no safety. You just, anything can be in there. You're just going skiing against the hill with speed into trees. And once again, not into trees, avoid the trees and find the path, right? But I think about, you know, if you go in and you keep looking and say, don't hit the tree, don't hit the tree, you hit the tree. And there are people who have tree skied and they literally hit it like smack on as if they're trying to go and do a bear hug. And it's like, come on, like you could have at least tried to avoid it. But the act of saying, don't hit the tree makes you hit the tree. How many of you go into work every day, don't get in a fight, right? Don't generate like conflict like we did yesterday. Don't get in trouble. Don't have a bad day. Like how many times do you go in? Like emphasizing the, you know,
Yeah.
and then sometimes you're like, oh no, I'm like saying in the positive, like have a better day. Have a better day is a pathetic attempt
Right.
to put a little
Right.
frosting of icing on don't have a bad day like yesterday.
Right.
Like, so when you aren't realizing what you're doing, right? Remember the whole thing of like, when you run marathons and people say, you can do it, go ahead, you can make it. They're literally putting in your head, maybe you can't make it. And this notion of how tricky the word
It's so
choice
tricky.
is,
Yeah.
but you can tell usually by the attitude. You can tell when you hear someone's attitude. Just block out the words and feel the vibes and the attitude of what they're saying. Are they there excited, full of love, joy, like just imagination and looking to build and create? Or are they like, don't have a bad day like yesterday? You know, like don't have difficulty. And they're literally hitting tree day after day and wondering, why do I not, like, it's not fair, right? So now you start to go into this whole blame side of who's at fault. And the more you look for that, you'll find everyone's at fault, right? And there's a notion that it's like this crazy spiral. So before we go on, I'm gonna add like a little video of the same thing about trees. Don't hit the trees. It was a funny video of like marriage. Maybe this is like marriage advice, but so I'll give you sort of Megan's reaction after, but that was kind of funny. So there's one for moms and then there's one for dads. So this is a video of what moms react to once they see their husbands, right?
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, oh, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
So Laura, if you don't mind, go down a little bit on the.
Oh, go here, sorry.
So I'm gonna have Laura go down, because in the chain, there was a video of what husbands do when they see their
Okay.
wives.
Curious the hypothesis
How do I
you
go
guys have
down?
after this, the women.
So just go back to the same video, just scroll down.
There's
And I'd like to
in
say-
the replies.
Oh, can
We
you
have-
not?
Sorry, I don't know how to do
Okay,
it.
all right, so this is where,
Oh.
that's, once again, not prepared.
By the way, we have a guest of honor, Miss Shauna,
Oh, yeah.
Chaplain Corps, Chief of the Chaplain Corps down in Miami for the Air Force. It's good to see you.
All right, so you can see my screen. I'm gonna try this. Show you what the husband version looks like. Okay, sorry. Oops. Sorry.
Funny. Not what I expected.
Can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
So I showed this one to Megan, and her reaction instantly was,
Of course, he's happy to see her. She's doing all the work. He's like, you're back. Like, you're gonna do the laundry, you're gonna get the groceries, like,
Dinner,
in
dinner.
general, in general.
What's for dinner?
So I feel bad saying this is not quite the situation in my life right now, but like in general, that's kind of, it used to be like, you're happy to see your wife because you're like, she takes care of my life. It makes everything easier for me. So when she's not here, I have to do everything. When she's here, whoo, sit back on the couch and watch
So-
football for,
So that is
You know,
the.
that's kind of generally what it is.
I know, but I'm saying that is the explanation, but I am saying, if you go back to the leadership lesson,
Sorry.
if you look for trees, you're gonna hit trees, right? So if you're seeing your husband as a tree while you're trying to tree ski, you're gonna hit trees, right? You're looking for trees, you're gonna find trees and you will hit it. And so
Yeah.
this, by the way, is what a ski slope typically looks like. They're groomed, it's really wide, and so when you see the little, like whenever it looks like little bumps, it's because there's a giant truck that goes through and plows the snow down. So it's packed and it's even, so your skis don't get caught, really nice.
Yeah.
When you tree ski, you literally ski through something like this. Now this is looking uphill, but imagine coming downhill. There is no path, it is not certified. Steve said my wife. Sorry,
The way
sorry.
this past
Um,
weekend, but don't
but-
worry, both the
so
grandmothers
when
came and
you-
took care of me. Don't worry, both the grandmothers came and took care of me, exactly.
So
Appreciate
Steve, not helping my cause, but I know what you're doing, right? Steve likes to kiss up to Megan and to make her point grow, but not the point of this class. The point of this class
There's
is
nothing wrong with
those of you who are looking at your husbands or boyfriend, probably not boyfriends, because once you get married is when they turn into trees. If you look
Yes.
at them as trees and you're trying to tree ski, you're gonna hit trees. You're gonna find what you're manifesting. And that's the point. So
Yeah.
if you look for the bad and you are thinking, like, what are they doing wrong today? You will find it. And that is the very, sorry, Olivia's laughing, but tree skiing, this is what tree skiing, if you look it up on Google, so this is what it said. It's a type of skiing that involves navigating through trees, ungroomed powder, and variable terrain, providing a unique challenge for those seeking a more adventurous experience beyond the resort's boundaries, right? The allure of tree skiing is there, but then there are inherent risks. Obstacles, fallen branches, roots, rocks, and concealed stumps can cause skiers to lose balance or become injured and can lead to disorientation or getting lost, right? Now you're thinking about skiing, you're moving. It's not like there's a motor. You're moving with gravity and you can move very fast. And unlike ski slopes where you can actually snowplow and stop and whatnot, there's not enough room. So you literally have to just with gravity driving you, make decisions and find the path and somehow enjoy this, right? And I know many of you, unless you're like a real crazy skier, thinking, why the hell would anyone do this? And so in the video below, I'm not going to play it. It said how to ski trees. Find your flow. Like, and I know most of you are like, but I would never do that, right? That just sounds suicidal. That's for idiots. Well, how about if life, every day work is basically tree skiing? Life is tree skiing. And if you don't find your flow, you're skiing every single day, starting from the morning by saying, don't hit the trees, don't hit the trees. And you're hitting trees all day long. And instead of finding the path and enjoying the path, finding the thrill of the path, right? I didn't highlight the green part just because I thought you guys would think I'm too crazy, but fresh powder, right? Solitude and adventure, terrain variety, right? It's like, wow, today's so different than yesterday. Wow, like I discovered cliffs and chutes and oh my God, a different kind of excitement compared to groomed runs, which is just boring and flat and wide and like little babies go and old people ski down those, all happy. I'm like, this is like life, adventure, like thrill for skiers seeking that fresh powder feeling, escape the crowds, experience the tranquility and the beauty of nature. This is what the world is like. Challenging setting. Most of you are like, nope, not for me. Well, I hate to tell you, life has become tree skiing. And all you're doing is walking around trying to think of don't hit the trees.
Christopher in our group here saying it's literally impossible to not be present while tree skiing. This is what makes it so amazing.
Exactly, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Every day is tree
Right?
skiing.
And I would love to see whoever Chris is to do that for work too, right? Be as amazing. So yeah, find your flow. This slide, what was it, Kat?
I wrote, you're skiing whether you want to or not. And my reaction
Right,
was
you're
like,
tree skiing whether you want to or
And
not.
you're hitting trees, but coming back the next day. The beauty is you're not dead. See, it's a mental sport.
Right.
If you hit a tree, you would die. So it's like, and you could die. I pulled this slide up and I made this box I can just kind of jump through. I think about 3, 2, 1. There's a song that somehow I found it have on our playlist. It's the, like
Three,
fake
two, one,
ID.
girls wanna have fun.
3, 2, 1,
Something
like,
fake ID. It's like he found it, I'm a
It's
music
a very
person,
catchy
he's
song.
not, but
So
now.
now you're gonna look it up and that's all you can sing, but that's okay. But 3, 2, 1, I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1, and I'm just gonna spend more time on 1, but I'm just gonna quickly go through 3, 2, and 1, and then give you the insane version of my write-up. So if you just stay with me, let me do this. Before giving you pro tips, so I have to remember the pro tips. Okay. 3, outcome. It's very hard to recognize that when you are tree skiing, which is life now, you can't visualize the outcome and expect yourself to succeed, right? Meaning if you're like, okay, I'm going to be safe at the end. And by the way, if you say I'm going to be safe at the end, you're really actually manifesting danger, death, and hurt. So if you say I'm going to be thrilled, I'm going to be so, excited at the end of this thing, it's probably not going to help you find your flow and get through it. If you go nuts about I'm going to die, it's probably not going to help you either. And this notion of, and you've heard this before a lot, the outcome will take care of itself. The outcome will take care of itself. Focus on the process. The outcome will take care of itself. The results will take care of itself. The wording, it's a little harsh, I say, is you're going to either earn the win or you're going to deserve the loss. Meaning, and I'll go into it, the amount of effort you put in the process will give you the win you earned with a ton of work, or you're going to get the loss because you didn't put in the work. And so I'll touch that in a sec. But on the outcome, I was explaining this week coaching a bunch of people that the average individual should spend less than 5% of their mind share thinking about the outcome. And so people look at me and it's like, but aren't you thinking about winning all the time? Like, I was like, I spend less than 5% of my time visualizing and thinking about what it will be like once you win. Because when you're saying that, you're assuming your plan, which you have from A to B to C to all the way to Z, is like accurate. No, you're going to get tree stumps and roots and all kinds of challenges and new adventures. So it's impossible to have a roadmap to the outcome. So you have to know uncertainty will hit you throughout it. And you can actually have faith that it will work out, or you can have faith it will not. And that is part of manifesting. But regardless of which side you fall in, less than 5%. But most of us will spend way more than 5%. Will actually believe, if I keep thinking of like, okay, I have to do an anti-negative outcome. So I'm gonna think of the negative and then I'm gonna draw it up and maybe think, I don't want that, and then I won't get that. And instead it's like, you do get that, and it's like, why? But either way, positive or negative, even if you ask me, I don't think a lot about what will it be like when we win. Like, so then why are you spending so much time worried? And I'm like, I'm not worried because I believe we'll win. What? But then why are you spending so much time doing all this? And I was like, that's the process. The Stockdale paradox is built exactly like this. It's the greatest, and I think one of the most important mental models out there. You have faith that you will win, like you will end up in the right place, but you're grounded in the reality, which means you need to put the work in. And so I was having this discussion, and I always get into massive, like, people don't seem to understand. So then I used an example that just clicked for me.
Yeah.
So we had a dance battle that we challenged against MOA, which is this military organization. And so BK was the former head of HR for the Air Force. So we were holding a fundraiser and kind of funding event for him, like all, underwritten by us. So we said, we're not going to ask you for money. We're not going to ask you for a logo somewhere. The one thing we want is a dance battle. We want your team at the end of the evening to just battle us, and you can 5 minutes or less. And so we will have a dance challenge in front of all our guests, where it's like maybe 200 plus people.
Yeah.
And so and remember, like, one of their like top employees was actually like a movie star in a dance video, right? Like, I think it was Step Up 3 or something.
Yes.
Right? Like, I was like,
She was
oh
an
my God.
extra in the
She was an
back,
extra in Step Up 3, right? I don't know if you watched that, but it's not as good as Step Up 1, but
Charlie's
but,
watched every movie on
like,
Netflix, so.
and then they have someone who's obsessed with dance, and I was like,
So.
and I turned to Megan, and she's like, they're not gonna win. I was like, how can you be so certain? She's like, we're gonna win. And she was so certain, and I was like, they have like an actress, like a celebrity, like, even though it's an extra, but like, I was like, how can you be so certain we're gonna win?
Yeah, no.
But then despite the certainty, she was like drilling us into like the transitions, we have to walk through them.
This is the first
music
time
has
I
to be mixed better.
This actually helped me a lot. The Stockdale paradox, which we talked about a lot. Your faith that you will prevail, but grounded in reality of the challenges. But I've never fully understood why Charlie doesn't worry a lot. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, if you think, you're not really thinking about what's gonna happen, but but I'll think he's thinking, what you just said, the outcome will take care of itself, or I'm gonna earn it, a faith that you're gonna prevail, so anyways, the long and short of it is I realized, wait a second, I do this when it came to that dance battle. I'm pretty convinced we're gonna win. I don't see losing in sight. I don't spend time on winning or losing. I just know our process, we're gonna win. He said, why? Because we practice every week. But then, I had like a, we're gonna win.
I said, isn't it possible we lose? She's like, no, it's not gonna happen.
But it's not realistic. How about this? I think this was a good language we said. It's not realistic. It's
Yeah,
not like the
but your
realistic.
certainty just brushed me off. I was like,
Yeah.
but it was possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
how
could
could
be
you not say it's
practicing-
possible?
we don't know what they're
right?
doing,
They're a
They're
nonprofit. They don't
nonprofit.
work that
We don't-
hard.
Yeah,
I mean, it's possible,
they could
right?
be spending all
It's
month
like-
doing it, and we were barely practicing other than our weekly hour class that Savas used to have it. So I said.
She
but
wouldn't
then-
entertain it. She just wouldn't even entertain it. She was like, it's not gonna happen.
But then,
They won't win.
But then I could see everybody started taking it nonchalant, and I was like, guys, like, we have to put a plan together. We're not gonna just walk in there and just start. We need transitions, we need people moving
Mix the music
around, we
better,
need Gio to cut the
ending,
music and end it. We're not gonna do that whole
costumes.
song. We're gonna look stupid. Like, I had like a, let's go. And then you were kind of like, whoa, and I was stressing you out. I think I created performance anxiety. So then
No, and
there's like some
I had
performance
the,
anxiety,
wait,
but I was like, but we
No,
need to prepare a
but can I
little.
tell you what I had? Are you lying to all of us that you think we're definitely
Right.
gonna win?
So this is
Because
like.
why are you so stressed in
Yeah.
doing all that if you're so certain we're gonna win?
See how that's like a paradox? It is a paradox, because I felt that in the business where I think Charlie's thinking, we're gonna win, Megan. It's almost like, sometimes I hear, relax a little. So then in the reality part, like the today part, I'm kind of relaxing a little. I was like, what are you doing? We have so much to do. And sometimes I'm like, what? Like, what? You know what I mean? I feel a little bit thrown off by you at times. I've never understood this, and this throws me off. Oh, I shouldn't say it startles me every week, but because every week means you should be startled because
Yes.
it's the same thing every week.
The MOA dance
By
battle.
definition, but I finally got it.
Yes, I felt
On this
finally understood.
example. I
Because
don't
I
believe
said-
we're gonna lose,
Yes.
but we're gonna prepare.
Like,
And we're gonna make, and we're not
just so you
messing
know,
around.
came to the dance, it wasn't even, we're not gonna lose, it's like, we're gonna win. It was constantly like this blunt certainty of, we're gonna win, of course we're gonna win. And I was like, but
And
it
yet-
could be
and
better,
yet-
she's like, no, we're gonna win.
And yet you always have a little bit of paranoia of like, what is this, some outside shot
Yeah.
that they're playing some costume
No,
thing? And
no,
I saw
and I
them come in
challenge
with
you.
boxes and I was like, I'm so glad.
Yes.
It's like stuff. But
But-
then they felt, I'm kind of glad they brought some
That's my
costumes. 'cause I
point,
think we
is
might
this.
make them look
And
better.
I challenged Megan saying, why are you worried about traditions and all stuff when you know we're gonna win?
Yeah.
And that's the paradox.
Yeah,
That's the
paradox.
part that sounds like, wait, so you can believe, but then go crazy doing the work?
Right.
It's like,
Believe,
wait,
but go
that makes no sense. If you believe you're gonna win, why don't you just sit back and let it glide into the win? And like,
Yeah.
isn't that what we do? It's gonna fail, so why don't we just glide into the fail? And that, by the way, works.
Yeah.
With the win, you can't do that. You have to do the work.
You can actually glide to the loss though. It's
Oh, yeah, you
interesting.
do nothing. And it's like, let's see how life goes, right? That's a whole nother class, but we're not talking that here. The work. So here's the work. So 3, 2, 1, right? Rum on the coat. 3, 2, 1, the work. The work actually is reading people's minds. If you could read every human being's mind, and not at that instance, but going back in time and the entire continuum and journey, and then think of what they're predicting, because that's what's driving their decisions. If you could do that, you would build perfect service, perfect products, you'd be perfect. Now, I want you to recognize how difficult it is to read people's minds, because first is the past, where it was, right? Doesn't matter what it is. You have to know that they have a story, they've been ruminating, and whether it's true or not, they can adjust it, right, over time through the false narration, adding stories to story. But they have, no matter what, like a trail of moving data points from where something was to where it is now. Then comes the where it could go. Now, this is where manifesting comes in, right? If you're a negative manifester, you could go negative here, you could go double negative, triple negative. You just start to go into like a competition with yourself of how negative can I be, right? And those predictions then drive what you're gonna do. If you're in the positive manifesting side, you're going into, I wonder what this could do. Imagine how big this could get. You can actually go through, have a range of options of where it could go. We've taught in the leadership class, we call it visceral drafting. Imagine coming in every day. What do you want to do? Where could this go? But see, it's not just I'm just going to draw a Hampton's house and then boom, I'm going to get it. No, let me look at my financial history. What's the rate of how much money do I put away? Savings. Where is it now? Right? So then I have a series of choices I can make. And the series of choices, right? Because you can go into, oh my God, I could lose it all. I should lose it. So I should plan for losing it all, right? So I pull it back, put it all in, I don't know, bury it under a mattress. So even though interest rates are high, you're like, I don't trust the banks. Banks could go out of business. Remember the Silicon Valley Bank? Or you can go into the possibilities. And if you are not very good, you're going to be like, oh, wow, why don't I just go to, Atlantic City or Vegas and I could just play lottery, or I could maybe just invest in crypto, right? Or some NFT. So yes, there's the possibilities, but remember planning, thinking, brainstorming is coming up with a range of possibilities. And what most people think is if I say it, I'm gonna have to do it. And so they don't expose what the range of possibilities are. Visceral drafting is literally being able to say a range of possibilities based on analyzing the past, where the present, and then what are the possibilities? So where it was, where it is now, where it could go. Now, keep in mind, when you do SA, which is situational awareness or situational assessment, you're analyzing this with every human being that you're interacting with. So person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4, but don't forget, you're in there too, self. And you know what happens is most of us do not put the discipline that the most accurate reading of someone's mind is going to be you trying to read your own mind. When you're spending time trying to read other people's minds and have a view of Kathy kind of is thinking this from the past experience and she's thinking this from the now and she's thinking these possibilities, that is my prediction. It is my guess. And the inaccuracy in it is very high, which is why we tend to expose it so that you can correct and say, oh, no, that's not it, which is her feedback to then correct my predictions, which is my mental models being built. But how about for yourself? You're like, well, self is mine. But I was like, is it accurate? And that's where mental preparedness will come. So we will go into this notion of you want to hit trees every day, you're hitting trees. And you're like, I don't want to hit trees, but I was like, oh, you just mentioned trees again. So you're back in the tree thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Lip 242. Like oftentimes, this is the biggest thing that happens. Mental preparedness or mental readiness. You are in the mindset of I had dreams of trees, hitting trees, smacking trees, breaking legs, right? So I am hijacked with just seeing way too many trees, but I'm just gonna go and do the work. And then since that's hard, I'm just gonna do easy work. And then you're like, oh, now I'm being criticized. I did the easy work wrong. Yeah, you seem to do everything wrong. And that's literally the narrative that comes out of your own mouth at times, if not from your bosses or peers. And what you don't see is when you're hijacked, you have to drop the problem. Like how to analyze and get to a place where I can get my mindset right. Because once again, we are in a different era. We are no longer in the old world of, like it's about laying bricks and data entry. No, kind of actually your attitude, your mindset matters in how you do work. So, looking at time here, 11:44. I'll try to do some of this fast. So this is my busy slide, which is going to drive you crazy. So I'm trying to think if I should even skip this. I do. Let's see. Top thing sort of want to show you is this up here. Become an observer, as in watch your own mind and how it functions. Be a student. Be so curious of what is happening in your mind. Like Laura woke up this morning and she's like, I woke up as a Krabby croissant, right? I think croissants are delicious. I don't know why that got associated, but Krabby croissant. And she was like, nothing happened. I was like, well, something happened. Maybe it's something you looked at, an image, or someone said something. Like our subconscious in our dreams, we're constantly, you can think you're sleeping, so you're not thinking. No, your nighttime is processing and storing and it's doing so much shit. And so think about what happens. And this notion of, so it was saying in the mind, sorry.
Being hyper aware.
Release negative thinking, catastrophizing, defeatist mentality, the all or nothing binary, minimizing the good in your life. Release limiting beliefs. I don't have enough. And this is a nuance. I'm just giving you a little advanced preview of the pro tip. Oops. Sorry. Give me a sec. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on here on this page. So I am seeing sort of live what's happening. Don't hit the trees, right? Outcome part, past, present, future. I kind of redo it, it's easier. Life's in a continuum. Right. Let me jump to the two things that matter. So you have seen this slide before from an old lip class. And I think the first thing is this: you have to dial down your fear, which only occurs through exposure therapy. So the ability in the morning, it's like, I don't look at the news because it terrifies me. It probably means you need to look at the news. You need to look at the news because approaching life, ignoring what scares you, only makes it scarier. Anything you fear, staying in the dark, staying nice and fuzzy in your head, becomes a freaking nightmare. Nightmares are scariest if it's a little bit fuzzy and a little bit hard to see, right? Like the best horror movies never show you what the demon looks like. The minute you see the demon, you're like, all right, it was far worse in my head. That's exactly how it works. So this daily rep and routine of exposing yourself to what scares you, it could be that poor review, that bad feedback, that manager thing, whatever it is, or some news article, like whatever it is, you look at it and you will see through exposure therapy, it will no longer hijack you. It will no longer it can still be scary, but it will no longer have that type of control. So you'll still keep control of your own mind, brain, vessel. The second part is you have to dial up faith. Now, we tried this thing with gratitude without a but, from Finding Nemo. I don't think it's working. So we changed it to call it Mo reps. Mo reps is momentum reps. To be able to end the evening, in the very end of the evening, thinking about what worked today. As in, not what didn't work, what worked. every day something, even if you get something bad, you're like, oh my God, I'm glad I got that exposure now. What worked? And it might be hard to do, and you might go through and think of how many things, and you might come up with 5,
Yeah.
or oddly, when Megan first did it, came to 13, right?
weird
It's very,
number,
very
but-
odd, 13. And so then when you wake up in the morning, right, after you get your fear rep done, right, as an exposure to fear, or you call it bravery reps, on the positive, right? I honestly don't care about the wording on that. You
Yeah.
just have to go look at the thing that scares the shit out of you, so you can actually let it tone down and not have the same control. But on the Mo reps, can you remember what you thought about last night? If it's a 13 things, right? You're literally, and remember, do not write it down. My intuition is do not write it down. If you write it down, you're gonna cheat by just rereading it. You have to scan your brain to
Yeah.
remember yesterday's
Yeah.
13 things that you rattled off. Doesn't have to be in the same order, but can you remember however many you said?
I think what you said earlier too about earning it, like this, actually have to do the work, the mental work, to actually have to think about it in your own brain, not lazily look at what, it doesn't do the same thing. You write it down, you're looking at it and typing it up. So I tried it. It doesn't work as good as waking, so if you think about this Mo rep, walking home before you go to bed, you're implanting in your subconscious before you go to bed, the good things, the things that built momentum, to Charlie's point. Could be something that you're glad you got that over with, or that was good, anything. The big things, even the small things, as many as you can before you go to bed. And then when you wake up, the goal is to also, to rethink about them.
It's
And
the single
Yeah.
best way to
Yeah.
train your subconscious mind, which is far more powerful than your
Right.
conscious mind,
Right.
is how you bookend the very last thing that went in before bed and the first thing that shows up. So when I say first, think approximately first, because you got to go ground in the fear and all that stuff first.
Get to the fear rep, yeah.
Then, right? And by the way, this order matters. I'm like, I'm going to start with a Mo rep, and then I'm going to scare the shit out of myself for going to work. You're going to hit trees all day long,
Yeah.
right? So the order matters. Hey, ground in the reality of what actually scared the shit out of you. Then, right? So if you write anything, write the number of things you came up with the night before. So you can look at it and be like, shit, I need to come up with 7, right? I have to re-remember the 7, whatever order. And the act of scanning your brain to re-remember it from yesterday is gonna get you in a much better place to ski trees and look for path, not trees, okay? So, does that make sense so far? So that's a slight adjustment from gratitude without touching the butt thing, right? Which is cute, Nemo, nice movie,
Didn't
but
work,
you know what?
yeah.
Didn't fucking work, right? Go for Mo reps. I think it's far better. All right. Then comes mental scanning. We do physical scanning. You go see a trainer, anyone, they're like, how's your body doing? Physical scanning, boom, right away.
Or even
Or like
doctors advice.
Doctors, I mean, vitals, scanning constant, mental scanning. Most people mental scan, I'm good or I'm bad. If you're doing binary scanning, that is your hijacker that's speaking. You have to be able to scan. And so we could take another class to do this some other point, but this was Megan's first cut of
It's much
making
more-
a scan.
Much more difficult than I thought it would be. 0 to 10, right?
Yeah,
The lower end, basically at what level am I ready to get to work? It was interesting at the 0 to 5, or sorry, the 0 to 2, it's sort of, I wrote down, I'm okay to get to work. That was my
yeah. As in
bar.
her best thing was I'm okay, and the worst one was panic, terrified, like
Scared.
overwhelmed, right? And then at the very bottom, she wrote not okay. So when I asked her, she was like, well, 10 is not okay, and 0 or 1 is I'm okay.
So just saying I'm
And
okay
I
or
was
I'm
like,
not
I was
okay
like, that's
is
not what's on
fine.
your sheet.
Right.
You wrote terrified, sad, desperate, despair, overwhelmed, panic, and then you wrote, I'm okay to get to work, right? It has to be a balanced scale, right? And I'm sure the ones who are overly, like, I can't remember which type it was, but the ones who are like constantly frustrated, they're gonna be like, you know what? LFG, right? When it works out well, it's LFG. And the other side, it's like, well,
I'm not so good.
it's not a good day,
It's not
you
a
know?
good day, yeah.
Things didn't work out as planned. Like,
Yeah.
that's not an accurate scale. An accurate scale should be balanced. And so think of 5 ranges, the extreme ranges, which is what most people are thinking through. Then there's the middle 2, right? And then there is a neutral. There are enough instances where like you don't really have an opinion. Like, it's like something, you ever meet someone, you're like, how do you think of them? You're like, honestly, I didn't even notice them.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happens. There are many situations where we don't put brain power into even having an opinion. Okay, so really quick, I'm gonna move to the pro tip, just because I think, I don't have much time here. This is kind of from before, right? Remember, it's a seesaw. In every situation at any point, you're gonna be seesawing on the left side or the right side. If you're in the left side, right, you're in stress mode. Think of all those emotions, including frustration, which is related to anger, right? And this idea that the picture I put is your body is imbalanced. So do you know how hard it is to move to the right side when that other muscle, or I guess in this case, it's the left side, but think about going to the right, just because I like that better. So that would be weird to the picture,
guess
but
we-
yes,
yeah.
pretend you're going to the right. It's very hard to get to the right when the left side is so much stronger. So you have to see that to make a move to the right, it has to be aggressive.
Yes.
It cannot be like meek. It cannot be, I'm trying. No, if you aren't effing trying, you're not trying. It's that hard. And it sounds that hard that, and by the way, I put
It's
here,
overcorrection,
remember,
right?
in difficulty, right? Do not do that. Well, I woke up and I went hard right. I'm like, no, tell me the minute you start seeing trees. Tell me the minute you start to get terrified or all that stuff. Can you make a hard right in difficulty? So the pro tip on that is twofold. One is playful, the other one's abundance. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to play all the videos, but if you've ever seen this 8 Mile video with Eminem, right? And this is a great rap battle. It's like, like, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever it is, but it's a battle where like, he has to go and battle like in this like whole thing and he just makes fun of himself, right? He makes fun of himself that he's like, trailer trash and lives with his mom and like, like he has this horrible zip code or phone number, area code and all this stuff. The point is this, in stress, if you can tap playfulness, there's a phrase we've used before, leading from weakness, as in if you can own it, you can make fun of it, as you can joke about it, right? It kills the hijacker. Like in stress, try to find a way to genuinely make a joke. Because by the way, when you try to do I'm terrified, but I'm trying to joke, they can feel it. It takes reps to be able to tap playfulness, no matter how bad a situation, find a way to actually, not other people injected humor, no, your weakness, your situation, inject the humor, and if you can do it, it's a way to build a skill that can give you hard right. Now, abundance is fascinating. So abundance comes from giving. The reason why often when you feel like shit and you feel down, the act of kindness, of helping someone, can make you feel healthy, up and down. The act of kindness is literally your cup overflowing. And sometimes even when you feel your cup is empty, the act of helping someone who has less than you gives you perspective that you have more than you think. So I love this picture. This is a guy during the photo shoot for his own wedding, jumps in to save a kid from drowning. This is a restaurant, right? My dear, if you are hungry and you can't afford to buy food, please don't be shy. Your food is on Karachi Cafe. Just ask for a free box. We won't ask a single question. I love this one. A group of women called the 9 Nanas kept a secret for decades that not even their husbands knew. For 30 years, they met at 4 a.m. and anonymously paid bills and bought clothes for people in need. Each care package came with a homemade pound cake and a note that read, "Somebody loves you." Just random people doing random shit. Fucking love it, right? I love this one. Pull up to the hardware store and saw this go down. Dude literally in the pouring rain coming out to his SUV, sees 2 hooligans, one pushing his broken bike, stops everything he is doing, and spend 5 minutes getting drenched, fixing it for little man. They rode off happy as Air Force or as F, and he just left with a smile on his face, gave me one too. High five to you, good Samaritan. True America, restored faith in humanity. I mean, I don't want to make it even anything about race or that, but I love that this black man got out of his car, 2 white kids with broken bikes in the pouring rain, strangers, and just on his knees, fixing their bikes, drenched in the rain. And nobody even saw it. This guy happened to just see it and take a picture. I wanted to end with just this one little thing. This old guy sitting in the park singing this tune. So if I turn it over to Laura, this is how I was going to end it. But it's just when you don't feel abundant, when you feel scarcity, when you feel desperate, when you feel like I don't have enough, the act of actually trying to help someone or even reading about others doing acts of kindness can literally get you to the hard right. So Or can you just play this one thing? You don't have it. It's the last one. No, it's actually below. Sorry.
I can't get into
Oh,
whatever
sure.
the
Okay.
blows
All right.
are.
So, all right. I will, hopefully there's less Mazlara for next time, but, it's okay. Here, you know, the chat. Here, I'll do it. And get to it. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Make sure sound's on.
It into the, maybe we can put it into the chat if you guys wanna, watch this. It's cool. You know the song Living on a Prayer?
Why the sound's
It's not, yeah, you can't hear it. Yeah, not you saying you can't hear
Sorry,
it.
I'll try to figure it out.
Another day is gone. I'm still all alone. How could
That is
Sorry,
one
that was a song of the husband. Okay, just hear this.
She says we gotta hold on to what we got. It doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other, and that's all I know. We'll give it a shot. Oh, yeah, baby. We got the best in my head. We're making us say, we got the best. Jesus, look to Donnie.
Sorry, I didn't know why we'll put it in the chat if you want, play it. It's so cool. Just old guy sitting at the bench just starts belting out loud. The entire park chimes in. Kind of cool. So hoping when you are waking up every day or even throughout the day and seeing trees, you try to attempt a hard writing, either finding humor that you can inject, not someone else injected. You have to rep the skills of doing it yourself and rep doing it in stress and difficulty. But if playful doesn't work, the other one is abundance. And abundance comes from having perspective that you have more than somebody out there. And so that's a way to go hard right.
Such a good list.
All right.
All right,
You have to
CK
run.
out.
You have to
Guys,
run.
I'm gonna run
Um,
with him. Thank you, guys. It was a great class. I loved it. It was
Um,
awesome. Thank you, thank you.
I think next
See
week
you
we
next week
have
at the test kitchen, okay?
kitchen. Danny's teaching something.
Something else.
We're
I'm
running
sure.
something for entrepreneurs. We're doing a whole entrepreneur thing. The tech community, like 150 entrepreneurs pitching and doing stuff, but, yeah. And then I think we might not be around after. Greg might be doing some classes for us, and then one of them, we might have Laura sub. So for the month of August, we are unfortunately away. But Lip will continue, not to fear, but we'll find some good people to help chime in and teach. Cool.